favorite quote comes from the Dalai Lama. And he said, Western woman will save the world. We are so much stronger than anybody knows they are. Maya Angelou said that our greatest fear is not that we're not powerful. We're afraid of how powerful we are.
Welcome to our program, Jump Into It.
Welcome to Jump Into It, a podcast and live show to help entrepreneurial women jump into a better life. Welcome. Today we have with us Jean LaVallie. She is the founder of WESOS. Now, what does that stand for? It's Women Entrepreneurs Secrets of Success Committee. She has founded this and helped women entrepreneurs connect with others to support one another. So topic today is about how to build a successful community of women entrepreneurs. And Jean is going to lead that conversation. And along with us is our great co-host, Anita Booth, that's going to help join the conversation. Jean LaVallie, thank you for joining Jump Into It.
I want to start by saying thank you guys. Thank you so much for, I don't even know how we found each other, but as women entrepreneurs, we kind of mill around and running into people and running into you guys was really a blessing. And I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. And we're happy that you're here too. So many women are trying to do it alone, and the entrepreneurial journey can be a pretty lonely one. And so having women like you facilitate and bring other women entrepreneurs together to provide that support and that community that is so needed today, as I just want to say thank you for that. Starting with, what inspired you to want to do this? Can you share a little bit of your journey, Jean, and how you got to where you are today and how you built this community?
Well, as I was sharing with you ladies before, it was very serendipitous how all of this came together. For most of my life, I didn't know that people networked. I didn't know that you walked into a room full of people that you didn't know, and the protocol for that and how to follow up and all the things that you need to do as a woman entrepreneur and business owner. I started out with a network marketing company and a product that I really, really loved. And all they kept telling me was, you got to get out there. You got to get out there. And, you know, like I said, 25 years at home with my kids, I did have jobs that I worked from home, but not out there. And so I didn't know what out there meant. And somebody suggested to find a meetup. And so I found a meetup and found a lot of networking groups I didn't care for. It was very transactional to me. Sometimes it could be catty and clicky. And I really, at the age of 50, I was like, I'm too old for this. You know, I really want authentic relationships and I want to get to know the woman behind the business. And I found a group that I really liked a lot on Meetup, and it was called Women Entrepreneurs Secrets of Success. It wasn't WESOS, but it was a group of maybe 15 women. And I went to it and I decided I really liked the energy of that group because it was so inviting and so inspiring. It was just sitting around talking to your girlfriends about your business and what a good lead looks like for you, and you know some challenges maybe that you're having with your business. So I loved that group. And about a month after I went, I got a note from Meetup, as they do. They say the organizer of this group is stepping down and the group is going to close if someone doesn't take it over. And there was a button on the page that said, click here for more information. And I clicked it, and the very next page said, congratulations, you're the organizer for Women's Entrepreneurs Secrets of Success.
Wow.
Wow.
So being new to networking, I was like, I don't know how to do this. And then I thought, then you do a little check on yourself. And I said, Jean, how hard can it be to get a bunch of women together once a month to talk about their businesses? This is, it's easy. But then because it was my meetup and I was paying for it, I decided, you know what, we're going to have the rules that I want. I want authentic relationships. I want mutual support from the ladies. I want to share resources instead of the scarcity mentality of hiding your resources because you're afraid someone's going to get ahead of you. And that's what we built. And we came up with our intention that we say at every one of our meetings across the country, which is we are a thriving community of women entrepreneurs committed to cultivating authentic relationships while providing ongoing mutual support and resources for growing our businesses.
Where did the meetup first reside? Because I mean, the beauty of today is that bricks and mortars are not limiting our ability to have, or geography, our ability to have really enriching and profitable relationships. Meetup, obviously, it does both in person as well as virtual. So did you start with in person and then move to a virtual space? And where did you start if it was in person?
We started in the suburbs of Chicago. I tried one restaurant, really wasn't working, and somebody suggested we go to this other restaurant. And we started with maybe 10 women at the first meeting, and within a few months, we had 30 or 40 women that were showing up because I found out very quickly that a lot of women feel the same way that I do, is they're tired of trying to sell to each other and they want those authentic relationships. So that's where we started, but just like the rest of
Yeah,
the world
yeah.
in 2020, we pivoted to online meetings, and it was very foreign to me and to all my leaders. And I'm always so proud of that moment in the WESOS community, because we all were there for each other, and it was a really difficult time, especially for women business owners, especially for all business owners, but in particular our group. And we went online for a good over 12 months, maybe 16 months. So now we have a hybrid of them. So it everything always works out in the end, right?
Just understanding the structure and the business model of this community, it offers kind of like a mastermind platform for women to go and share and support. But you're not just one meetup, you've got different chapters in different locations. Like, you really branched out this whole opportunity to build a community of women across, it's North America.
Well, we're exclusively in the United States right now, but obviously looking to
Okay.
grow too as well.
So how did that go about? How did you step into having different chapters?
Choose between my business and taking over WESOS as the business owner. So I incorporated in 2015. We at the time were in one location, and we would have 50 women 50 women would only fit in the room. And then once we hit that 50 mark, then we had an overflow room. So we had at times where we had 50 women in the networking room, but then we also did an overflow room. So I'm managing these two different rooms, and everybody kept saying, Jean, we need a bigger venue. And I'm like, I don't want to listen to 80 people do their elevator pitch. I said, we don't need a bigger venue. We need more meetings. And that's when some of the women who had been with me from the beginning stepped forward and said, hey, you know what, I'll lead a meeting. And so that's kind of really how it branched out for me. And it really has been quite a journey, because I was talking to a woman who wanted me to coach her on creating something like this in Maine with her. And man, I couldn't believe she was taking so many notes. I'm like, wow, I must have learned something in 10 years. I wish I had known someone like me when I first started, because it would have saved a lot of the detours and the bumps in the road that I went through.
Well, you'll be a great mentor. So that's that leadership role you're going to be, you're moving into now with all your chapters. I'm curious, Jean, when you held these meetings, did you plan an agenda? Just share with us what those meetings were about, where you said something about you don't want them to do sales pitches. And I assume when you get together, you're being a bit more structured. Are you giving them opportunities to do some sort of leadership at those meetings? Or just, yeah, maybe if you could share how that comes together and what you cover.
Well, what I always tell our leaders is that there's four essential parts of a WESOS meeting. And we start with our intention, what I shared with you ladies earlier. We quiet everybody down. It's kind of like a mini meditation of really centering yourself and pulling yourself into the room and being present there, not only for yourself, but for the other women in the room. And then we always have introductions. I like to keep the ladies to 30 seconds introduction, because it's great practice in a very safe space to keep it short and concise. and also get feedback from your WESOS sisters about what your elevator pitch or what your introduction sounds like, because you're networking in other places too. We always do a workshop or a presentation. One of our members is invited to come and speak about something that they know a lot about. As women, business women, we don't realize how many hats we wear. So to be able to share your secrets of success, to be able to share your nuggets of wisdom with the other women in the room. And then we close every one of our meetings pretty much the same way that we started, and that is with just a simple sentence. How would your life and your business change if you surrounded yourself with a community of women that refuse to let you fail? That's WESOS. So there is some structure, and I do think that we are a really great yin-yang balance of business and social. So, you come for the business, but you'll stay for the relationships.
That's so
And the
true. That is so
networking.
true.
I'm assuming
Yeah.
networking, right, is a big part, that they
Oh
get to
gosh,
meet
yes.
each other and connect beyond. I assume that event particularly is encouraged. You mentioned you have resources. Do you create materials after every event, and then you make them available? How is it that you're coordinating that part of the business for yourself and in your community?
Well, I think it's more of the resources part was something that I realized early on, that when I would ask somebody, hey, what do you use for this? Or how do you follow up? And a lot of women didn't want to share that with me. They didn't want to share because they were afraid that I was going to become more successful than them. And at WESOS, we come with an abundance mentality that the more you give, the more you get. And just as a perfect example, the other day I was talking to one of my WESOS sisters, and she is starting a podcast, just like you guys. And she's just new though. And she said, you know what I need to do? I need to take my podcasts and I need to make those short videos. I need to make the YouTube shorts. And she goes, but it takes so long. I'm like, oh, our WESOS leader in Arizona shared with me that I should get Opus Pro and you should try Opus Pro. And the next time I met her, she's like, that changed my life. It freed up my time. I can't believe it. It's a game changer. I'm making shorts just like this. And that's just sharing resources within the community. I always tell the ladies, like, yes, business coaches are fantastic. I understand that. But what if your whole community was just a business coach and you shared everything that you're doing that's creating success that maybe would help somebody else?
And what kind of women show up? What kind of entrepreneurs show up to these meetings?
So I'll tell you, we run the gamut. There's no doubt about it.
Sure.
We have had people come, we've had women show up that are just thinking about starting their own business, but they're nervous. And what happens with a lot of the times is that when you decide that you're going to open your own business or you're going to do something new, your closest friends and your family become those people who they don't want to discourage you, but they do discourage you because they're afraid for you. You can't quit your job. You can't quit your job. Why are you going to quit your job? And WESOS is a place where they come to say, yes, you can, and yes, you can, and yes, you can. And we've done it and we've seen it. So we start that on the spectrum. We have women who do something part-time on the side. And we have women who own brick and mortar. We have women who work from home. Obviously, we have a lot of coaches too. So we have a lot to choose from within WESOS, and a lot of experience from all these ladies.
I have to ask the name of it, just breaking it down, because SOS stands for Save Our Souls. So is it We Save Our Souls? Was that intentional?
We have said that before. No, actually, I'll tell you a funny story about WESOS. So I was always Women's Entrepreneur Secrets of Success. I never thought anything of it. I knew it was a long mouthful, but it just never occurred to me. So probably about a year after I took over the group and was making all these new friends, the ladies started calling each other WESOS. And I'm like, what? And they're like, Jean, it's an acronym. It's so much easier. And I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. I like that. So we went to WESOS. And then the ladies started calling each other sisters. And because at the time I had daughters that had not had a good experience with sororities, I was kind of reluctant for sisters because to me, it seemed a little exclusive. And I never wanted WESOS to be exclusive. But it caught. WESOS, to me, WESOS does what she wants to do. And to me, WESOS is a spiritual entity. She is the feminine energy of a woman business owner who wants to have a life as well. That is the whole entrepreneur, a whole woman.
And that's interesting to say because Jump Into It is very much about that too.
As I
It's
think that's
not
how we
just
connected so
right.
well.
Yeah, I think that's it, right? You know, we had a common bond and understanding of how important it is. So having your own business can be very empowering, but it's not empowering if you're working 14 hours a day and you're barely making a living. That's not empowering at all. But if you can find a way that you get to do what you love, earn a living based on your value,
Mhm.
and be able to have the balance and the freedom to be with family, to be with friends, to establish other interests. It's all about jumping into a better life, and that's really the journey and enriching all the relationships along the way as we do embrace this new opportunities and evolution in ourselves.
And there is something that is so satisfying about not only your own success, but giving someone else the tip or the direction or the confidence to do something they didn't know they could do. And then for them to come back to you and say, wow, that was cool. Thank you. I couldn't have done it without your encouragement, giving me that confidence. And I have many women in WESOS who do come to me and say that WESOS was what spurred me on to public speaking. WESOS, and people who were afraid to stand up to do their 30-second, because I always ask the ladies to please stand up and come to the front of the room and do your introduction. Be seen, be heard, and don't be afraid of that. And I think that's the big first step. And then when you have women coming back to you after 10 years that are on big stages and say it all started that afternoon at WESOS, that fills me up.
Wow. Wow. Yeah,
That's
that's
really
awesome.
amazing. I love that, Jean. And so you obviously are growing your community. And as you grow, are you being strategic in some way? Are you thinking about how you want to impact other communities? How do you get your message out there? Where do you spend your time in promoting, if you will?
Doing exactly this. I was really happy. Unfortunately for me, I'm very, I guess I'm skeptical of a lot of people of what they're. I want women to come together no matter what business you're in. I want to partner with other women community. I want to partner with women like you guys. That it's it really is authentic. It's authentically wanting to raise all ships. And when I say that, all women business owners. I don't think that we need to be competitive. I don't think we need to be judgmental. I think we need to collaborate and we have to be there to celebrate each other. One of the things that I tell people is that the whole idea of, oh, I accept these people or I accept this type of person. I think that's a load of garbage. I think we need to celebrate our differences and celebrate the differences of who we are and what we do. And I think the world will be a better place for it. So it's just a tiny little goal of mine to make the world a little bit better.
Yeah. You brought up a lot of really interesting things. I mean, men have been collaborating and building their businesses and building partnerships and really, the boys club. Everybody's heard the boys club, but men have been very successful at uniting to be a real force in that way. And I think women have lagged behind. Is it the will, maybe, or is it that we haven't had the opportunities? Now more than ever, there's a wave of women wanting to help other women. But you brought up a few interesting points around cattiness, competition, holding back from sharing resources. I mean, all of these things are going to stop us from really being a cohesive team and supporting one another. What do you think are the biggest obstacles for women being successful in today's society?
To be completely honest, I always say that women need to embrace their feminine energy. Leave the masculine energy to where it needs to be, but the feminine energy is so powerful, and I think it's been suppressed for a long time because of that. And when you look, I'm old enough to remember the 70s and 80s, when women really came out in the workforce. And what did? We put on shoulder pads. We were very masculine. We came out. You weren't going to cry at work. That was a sign of weakness. You weren't going to show who you really were. That was a sign of weakness. It's business, 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 business. And I think what we're seeing now is a real revolution of women who are okay being themselves, who are okay just laying it all out there. I'm having a bad day. I've had many women come to WESOS meetings who are like, I haven't gotten out of my pajamas in 3 weeks, but I had to come see my WESOS sisters because I knew I would get the support here. This one gal that I'm thinking of, her mom died. We didn't know it because she didn't put it, on social media or anything. And she came to the meeting, and when she got up to do her 30-second introduction, she said, I haven't gotten out of my pajamas in 3 weeks, but I wanted to come here and tell you guys my mom died. And of course, then the meeting ended and we were all around her and we were all supporting her. But that's what I want it to be. That's what I've always dreamed for it to be, is that you can come for the support.
We understand and value relationships, I think, more than men do. And when it comes to conversation, men will talk first about sports or their cars, and we'll talk first about our relationships, what are working in our relationships with our family or friends and at work, and what's not working. And that's our first go-to. That's what's important to us. And so it's almost surprising that we haven't gotten there sooner as far as building a community and breaking down these competitive walls. Because I've been there where women have been enormous. Like, you are seeing shows like Gossip Girls, Mean Girl. They do show up, and there is a following. People watch that. So maybe I'm rambling here, but I do see a side of women that can be really ugly, where men aren't like that. Men don't exert their energy that way. And somehow pulling those women in and saying, no, let's follow a better path here than going after each other, and thinking that it's okay, or it's what becomes entertainment. When you said this cattiness and like coming authentic and coming to truly support one another, I think is brilliant and beautiful. And if there's women out there, like, go that path.
Yeah.
Don't tear down women and judge them. Go the path of really loving and comparing your sisterhood and embracing that feminine quality.
Yeah, well, I did raise 3 girls, so that was my message to them. My message to them was that, what somebody else thinks about you is none of your business. Keep moving forward and be kind to other people. Be kind and accepting and loving to other people, because that's really what's going to change the world.
Yeah.
I love that, Jean. I really do. I've been pontificating over values and traditions over the last few weeks myself, and what that means to me from a leadership perspective, because we're all leaders. We all show up, whether we're an entrepreneur, solo leader, or we, are working and have a team under us, or we're just a small group, the 3 of us. It's important that when we're together, we're, always respectful, always, that quality of empathy and being empathetic. I hear it a lot now. I mean, I hear it probably because I feel that that's my leadership style, is empathetic or heart-led. And I hope, as you do, that now I'm at a stage of our lives, Gabriella and I, that we want to talk a bit more about these sorts of things that are a bit more meaningful than, just the title, or it's about, your salary or your climb up the ladder. I think when I was younger, that was important, and not to say that it shouldn't be an element in your life that you want and strive for. But I do think that at this juncture, that we want to start, giving back and offering these types of, advice conversations, and also showcasing what we've learned, because, you've got some awesome experience now building communities and chapters, something you didn't get to do, and I know we too do a lot of different things just to keep learning. It's not good not to challenge ourselves or try something new. even if we do fail, right? And I've tried so many little entrepreneurial things just because I love creating. And so I
It's one of the
learned,
greatest schools that you can go to.
and I learned, over
Yeah.
time that creating was my form of, joy. And it wasn't always about creating to make something successful and millions of dollars. And I think creators create because that's their joy is in the creation of it. And I think I finally am welcoming that part of myself more than I ever have, because you always want to quantify, okay, if I do this, what did I make for it? And the minute you start moving away from that transactional conversation and think more about the impact that you could have on someone, I think is just an amazing effort all around. And I think what you're doing is just incredible. So I commend you, and
Well,
I'm sure
thank
your
you.
sisters would echo that.
Thank you. Yo, I can't wait to show them this interview.
And I wanted also, I just listened to a recent podcast, and I think that it's very in tune, and it's really about reintroducing the power of being an entrepreneur. And money is not an evil thing.
No,
It's good to
No.
make money,
that's what I try to
because
tell the ladies
money,
too.
right? It's good to make money.
When
Don't
the ladies
just
say,
say,
"Oh,
hey,
I won't
you
charge you for that," I'm like, "No, no, 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 no,
right?
no."
No, exactly. Except that's what
Mhm.
I'm saying is that women have a right to charge, have a right to charge for what they're worth. Don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to be an entrepreneur. Don't be afraid to own your power when it comes to having your own business. And money makes change. The more money women can make,
Yep.
I'm not, the more power we have behind us, oil the wheels to move things forward. So money is not the root of all evil here. And
No.
women that have that belief, oh, women can't manage money, or women spend all their money on foolish things. No, women are amazing at managing money.
Yes.
Women are very accountable and can be very accountable for how they spend the money. These are myths in society that women can't be great business women. But young women, if they hear this and they start believe it, it's now an extra hurdle that they've got to overcome in order to own their own self. So I just want anybody, we have the right to own our own power and be entrepreneurs. And there's nothing wrong with making six figures or seven
We have the
figures.
right to have $1 million company. We have a right to have a $10 million company. And I do agree with you. I think that it's been for too long that women thought that they had to choose. Now with everybody working at home, man, I wish that I could have worked from home, and because you're always multitasking anyway. So, you've got your children, or you've got your, whatever you're doing at home if you're a stay-at-home mom. It's so important for us to really say, and I don't know if you ever read the book Lean In. It's Sheryl
Yes,
Sandberg.
I have. Yes. Yeah.
And she's like, women can do, what is powerful for women is that we can do whatever we want to do. And men can do whatever they want to do too. But for women in particular, what I found when I was a young mother, that there was the working moms and the stay-at-home moms. And, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, but she said, Jean, do you think those women that are staying home all day with their kids are spending the entire day with their kids? They're not. But not to say that one is better than the other, but why does there have to be any kind of stigma on either one? You're just a person doing what you want to do in this life.
There is some stats. I was curious as we were talking about women who work. I had remembered reading the impact of women who work on and their children's, and I wouldn't mind just sharing what I quickly just kind of looked up, because I think it's worth it. And it was interesting because you said about, there's women and men who choose
Yes.
to stay home and raise the child, and that job is a hard job. And then the fact that, it's not recognized as a job is another whole thing.
Yes.
I do want to just share how the impact of a working woman, because I've worked my whole life and I have two children. Gabrielle the same, and my mother was a working mom too. So I came from that, but I often wondered, well, what does that mean for the generation? So there's some research from Harvard Business School found that daughters of working mothers are more likely to be employed, hold supervisory roles, and earn higher wages compared to daughters of stay-at-home mothers. So that's an interesting. And then additionally, I like this part too. Additionally, sons of working mothers tend to spend more time caring for family members. And I think that I also see that in my sons as well, that they have
That's
that caring.
wonderful.
Yeah. And so that's
Yeah.
a, you know, I
And-
think
yeah.
I think that's a good one to share with our audience and all the women we connect with, right? And I mean, we're with
Yeah.
professional women all the time,
Yeah.
but it's more about the children and the children's children, how that impacts the generation. So that's, we got to
Having
keep.
a well-balanced, like I said, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and she didn't have anything against career women, and she didn't have anything against stay-at-home moms. It was just
No.
it's your choice.
A choice.
It's
It's
what
a
you're
choice.
choosing to do.
Exactly. Yes. And the choice benefits the family in the end, right? Obviously somebody has to go to work, but if a parent can
Absolutely.
stay home, right? If a parent can stay home, that is just, whole other world of benefits. And I'm not going to research now, but I'm sure there's stats on, the benefits to children to have to be raised, by stay-at-home parent versus a nanny or after child care, that there's plenty
I
of
think it comes
stuff
down to
out
the
there.
individual. I honestly do. I think that if you're going to be a good mom and you're going to teach your children that there's different kinds of people in the world and we accept everybody and we love everybody, and I think that's one of the biggest things that we need to teach our children is, they're listening all the time. So as a parent, and if you're bad mouthing somebody, guess what they're going to do? They're going to bad mouth somebody, or they're going to think they're wrong and you're right. And I think that, we always have to have an open mind for whoever people are, whatever choices they make in their life.
I agree. And we're all individuals, and we all have a sense of purpose and passion and what we enjoy and love doing. And if we're miserable and we're resentful, that's going to be translated to all our relationships as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and I think that that's one of the big things about having this community around these ladies is that we don't judge. And it is, whatever you've decided to do, we have women who have their own jobs that come in and they have, 5 kids at home. Nobody cares. It's okay. And we have women who, have a wife. We don't care. This is your choice. This is the things in your life that we embrace and we celebrate because we see the business owner, we see the woman who needs the support, and we're there for each other.
What do you do when somebody sidesteps some of those values? But
I would
how
say
do you manage that in a group dynamic?
the biggest thing for me is I never want anyone to feel disrespected. And I think that when we tell our ladies that we're here to support each other, we're not here to sell to each other, we're here to create the connections and create a huge network. So your net worth is your network. I believe in that 100%. You mentioned earlier that the guys always had a guy. They always had a guy that they could call up because they knew somebody. At WESOS, we always have a gal. We always know somebody to recommend. You're not necessarily selling to one another, but you're supporting one another. So how do you support women without buying anything from them? There's a lot of transactions that happen in WESOS. I'm not going to say it's not.
Education. You said education, somebody's coming and sharing some form of knowledge. Everybody has something that they're good at, right? And
How about
can
just
offer
liking
up.
something on social media, leaving a comment on social media, raise the algorithm for your girlfriend so that they see that she's having a big sale or that her prices for coaching just came down. Sharing that is huge, and it doesn't cost you a dime. And I mean, I love that. And rather than going in and posting all the time about my business, about WESOS, I like to go in and support the ladies and comment on the things on social media. Also, again, sharing resources. That's a big one too. So I don't know. Am I getting off track? I feel like maybe I'm getting off track.
No, I think that's
No,
great.
no,
You
you're
mentioned-
not. You're not. And I was just going to go back to the book that I was referencing earlier, which is called "We Should All Be Millionaires" by Rachel Rogers. And I'm not sure if you've heard that. I've just recently listened to it. And one of the things she says is that look at your network of women and people that you connect with. And that's the average state of who you are and where you are.
Oh, right,
So
right,
that's
right, right.
so if you want to elevate your life, you have to elevate the people that you have around you. And so, WESOS gives you that opportunity, a platform to be able to do that, because it's really important for our well-being to be around people that are going to support us and that are going to be, reach out to people that are doing something that you want to aspire to be, that are the best of the best, and that's how you become the best. You don't become the best by hanging out with the um,
Less
losers.
desirable. The less
That's
desirable.
okay. I'm trying to find the politically correct
The
word.
politically correct word.
True.
I love the quote, you're the sum of the five people you spend the most time with. So
Yes, that's
that
it.
to me is, yeah, if you're around people who are serious about a business, but they're still your girlfriends, I think that's the best of both worlds.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think you have to have multiple groups. You have maybe your personal friend
Well,
group,
especially as
and you have your
women.
work group
Yeah.
and your community, and then the
Your
great
travel
part,
group, your pickleball
right?
team
Your
group,
pickleball,
Well, I
and
know that we have plenty of women who kind of group together that are taking care of aging parents. And what kind of support that is, and knowing that, what, maybe I'm not going to be able to make a meeting because I have to take mom to the doctor and, she's living with me now, or I have to go and see her at a home. I don't have that problem, but there's plenty of women who do. And it seems to me, I've seen the trend, it usually falls on the daughters of the family.
yeah, yeah,
that can
it's
go. That
true.
could be a
Yes,
whole other
yes.
podcast. And
Right,
you're
right.
absolutely right about the aging parents. Both Gabrielle and I are in that
Yeah, yeah.
area as well. And there that could really be a whole other discussion. So we'll certainly park that. Jean, before we close today, can you share some inspirational uh quote or something that inspires you to keep going every day, to share with our audience, what for some other women entrepreneurs who may be thinking about starting, or maybe they're growing? Would love to hear what you have to say.
I will say my
How do you
favorite.
start your morning
How
to
do I
get the
start
right
my
mindset?
morning? I
How do you
start my
start your
morning.
morning to get the right mindset?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I start my morning every morning. I read the book, The Artist's Way, and I just love this type of journaling where it's just a mind dump, and so many things
Mm.
come out from that. But as far as my favorite quote, I think everybody knows that my favorite quote comes from the Dalai Lama. And he said, I believe it was in 1997. Don't quote me on that because I'm not sure about it. But he said, the Western woman will save the world. And that
Yeah.
encourages me, inspires me. We are so much stronger than anybody knows they are. I think Maya Angelou said that our greatest fear is not that we're not powerful. It's we're afraid, and I'm butchering this. We're afraid of how powerful we are. And I believe that. I believe that we have more power than we have ever realized. And when I say that, I do think men and women, but particularly women, because we've had so far to go.
Thank you for closing. That's amazing. Thank you, Jean LaVallie, for being our guest, the founder of WESOS Network for Women, an entrepreneurial networking community for women. Thank you so much for your contribution, your ongoing contribution, and being a fabulous guest. We
Well,
look
thank you
forward
so
to
much. Your contribution is pretty wonderful too. So I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Join us again with another fabulous guest whose journey is to sure inspire us. To learn more about Jump Into It, subscribe to our Instagram or our YouTube channel. You can also listen to Jump Into podcasts on our favorite platform. We are on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple, to name a few. With the courage and knowledge to bring your ideas to life, be ready to jump into it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, ladies.
At Jump Into It, we empower business owners, marketers, and entrepreneurs to turn their dreams into reality. Want to supercharge your marketing efforts? Join our expert-led training at 360integralmarketing.com and get practical tools you can use right away. Don't miss out. Get ready to jump into it.